PhD scholar under the able guidance of Professor Subramaniam sir, former Professor and Head of Department of Advanced Training and Coaching, TNPESU. So in this fine occasion, first of all, I would like to welcome our external examiner, Dr. Professor Ilayaraja sir, Professor, Department of Education, Pondicherry University. In this fine occasion, on behalf of the Department of Education and my own behalf, we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
I do welcome the research supervisor and convener of this Viva examination, our retired Professor Subramaniam sir. So in this fine occasion, on behalf of the Department of Education and my own behalf, we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. I do welcome the doctoral committee members and the faculty members from the Department of Education and other various department of Tamil Nadu Physical and Sports University. And also I welcome the affiliated college of TNPESU, affiliated college staff member of TNPESU. I do welcome professional colleagues and the participants, those who are attending this IOC examination, MPhil PhD scholar and my dear MPhil students. Once again, I welcome you all in this fine occasion. Now I hand over the session to Dr. Professor Subramaniam sir for further proceedings. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Manikandan, Professor of Physical Education, Tamil Nadu Physical and Sports University. So this is culture. We have to start this whole thing. So first of all, I also welcome our Professor Ilayaraja of Pondicherry University for his busy schedule, and he was here for the external examiner. I also welcome Dr. S. Manikandan. He is Professor and Head Department of Physical Education as well as the Control of Examination in Tamil Nadu Sports University for his full-hearted support for the content of this Viva. And I also welcome all the professors of Physical Education Sports University Tamil Nadu, associate professors, assistant professors, and my previous colleague that have been National Sports University colleagues, our assistant professors, and other professors. I welcome all behalf of our sports university. I welcome all again. So this is my procedure to introduce the external examiner, Dr. Professor M. Ilayaraja. He is now working as a professor in the Department of Physical Education, Pondicherry University. He is a well-known personality in the field of physical education because he was working as an assistant professor in Annamalai University from 2010 onwards. He was there for 10 years in Annamalai University. After that, he is joined as an associate professor in Pondicherry University and now become the professor in 2017 onwards as a professor in Pondicherry University. He written a lot of books and he's got a very good award. That means the best teacher award for more than 5 years in the Pondicherry University for the year 12, 15, 16, 17 and 18. Because congratulations, Dr. Ilayaraja, because you are getting very good name for the best teacher award. And also he produced more than 7 PhD scholars, 44 MPhil scholars, and more than 50 MPed students from his university as a guide. And his articles are very familiar articles, and he's also written the chapter in the strength and conditioning regarding the strength and conditioning and the strength endurance. So it is very familiar paper of his service. So I welcome on behalf of Sports University and Physical Education Department, I welcome, I introduced Dr. M. Ilayaraja. And also I have to introduce my scholar, L. SASI. He is a qualified handball coach. And he completed his master degree in physical education at Annamalai University. And he has completed his diploma in coaching in 2012. And he is giving coaching for the Anna University as well as the Madras University. And he have produced many results in the field of handball. So, on behalf of that Physical Education Sports University, I introduced Mr. L. SASI. Now I hand over the session to Professor Ilayaraja, M. Ilayaraja, to take over this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Happy morning to all of you. Most respected former Professor, Dean Academics, National Sports University, and former Professor and Head, Tamil Nadu Physical Education Sports University, Dr. Subramaniam sir. Respected Professor and Head Manikandan, Physical Education Department, Tamil Nadu Physical Education Sports University, and Controller of Examination in Charge, and learned faculty members of the various departments of Tamil Nadu Physical Education Sports University and physical education fraternities, those who are attending this examination through online mode. First of all, I would like to thank the university authorities and also guide Dr. Professor Subramaniam sir for this wonderful opportunity today to act as an external examiner for this candidate. When I go through the research work of the candidate, research thesis titled Effect of Varied Capsules of Fitness Training on Selected Physical, Physiological, Psychological and Skill Performance Variables among College Level Men Handball Players. It was really very interesting. You know, everybody knows that team handball is classified as a very high intensity and body contact sport that demands a high level of aerobic and anaerobic fitness, of course, right? So there are several studies that have been reported. Handball players, in addition to the technical skills and their tactics, they require good amount of, that means good anthropometric characteristics and a high level of force, power, throwing velocity that constitute the determining factors for competitive success, of course, right? So in that aspect, this research work on handball players, it was really very interesting. So I have to appreciate the scholar and also the guide for a wonderful research work on the handball players, because research is a continuous process. There is no 100% perfect modality or method, because something was proven today, maybe disproved by somebody. But constant research only will help you to enhance our knowledge in the field of sports training or in the field of physical education sports, through which we are enhancing our knowledge, and also we are trying to equip our players' performance. In that aspect, I appreciate the scholar and also the guide for a wonderful research work. I have to thank the university authorities for giving me this opportunity to go through the research work of the scholar. It was really wonderful. So with this introduction, I thank everybody for this for attending this Viva's examination. Now I request the scholar to present his research work in front of this august forum in a nutshell. Please, Mr. Sasi Kumar, please proceed.
Good morning, everyone. My topic: effect of varied capsule of fitness training on selected physical, physiological, and psychological skill performance variable among the college level men handball players. Introduction. Sportsmen recruit a multitude of athletic abilities such as exploit acceleration and fast sprinting speed, muscular endurance and strength in the lower body, muscular balance and high level of the neuromuscular coordination, body awareness and agility, the ability to know where the body is and be able to move it, good flexibility to avoid the injury and correct balance between the quadriceps and the hamstring, as well as strength imbalance between the left and right leg. That every sports is interested to improve the physical, physiological, and psychological and skill performance level. Circuit training. Circuit training is special form of training which is the concentration on different part of the body. And general endurance circuit training is method of the physical condition that employ both resistance training and calisthenic training and exercise. The method was originally introduced Morgan and Adams in the late 1950 years in the awareness of University Leeds, England. The intensity performer, the system produced positive changes in the further in the motor performance, general fitness, muscular power, endurance, and speed have slow decide improve the as well. Interval training. Interval training develop the ability of the athlete to run at a particular space. This type of the training by adjusting in the time, number and distance of the run can be adapted to suit and need of the middle distance runners. The flexibility is advantage of the training system. STATISTICAL training programs which have been used to improve sprinting speed, including weight training, wind speed, and STATISTICAL sprinting. Such programs are decided to develop leg strength, leg speed, endurance, explosive power. Statement of problem. The experiment study was to find the effect of very capsule of fitness training, namely circuit training, interval training, and staircase training on selected physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variable among the college level men handball players. Hypothesis. It was hypothesized that 12 weeks of the varied capsule of fitness training, namely circuit training, interval training, and staircase training, should significantly improve the selected physical variable, namely speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable, namely vital capacity and breath holding time, and psychological variable, namely achievement, motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely dribbling, shooting, wing shooting among the college level men handball players. It was hypothesized that 12-week circuit training should significantly improve selected physical variable, namely speed, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable, namely vital capacity and breath holding time, and psychological variable, namely achievement, motivation, and self-confidence. Then staircase training, interval training among the college level men handball players. It was hypothesized 12-week training, staircase training should be significantly improved. The selected physical variable, namely abdominal strength, and the psychological variable, namely anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely dribbling, shooting, and wing shooting. Then circuit training and interval training among the college level men handball players. It was hypothesized 12 weeks training, interval training, and staircase training should significantly improve the selected physical variable, namely speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, physiological variable, namely vital capacity and breath holding time, and psychological variable, namely achievement, motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely dribbling, shooting, and wing shooting. Then control group among the college level men handball players. Significance of problem. The study is unique in suggesting varied training schedules for the physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variable. The college level men handball players. The finding of these studies should be suggested which training schedule is better in improve and developing the specific physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variable of the college level men handball players. The finding should be helpful for the coaches and administrators to modify their exciting training schedule for the preparation of handball probabilities. These studies may be help coaches and physical educators to train the handball player to improve the selected physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance. The research may be help to sports scientists to suggest way and means to improve better standard in the sport through suggesting suitable training method. These studies may be provided clear guidelines in the better performance to rooms for higher level of the competition. Delimitation. The age of subject selected for studying was between 18 to 24 years, and proficiency of the athletic ability was assumed only by the level of participation. All the subject are day scholar, and hence the nutritional stat and day-to-day activity of all the subject here were similar. The number of groups for the study was dedicated to 4 with 20 subjects in each group, considered as the attitude the main meaningful conclusions. The varied training methods selected from the studies was confident that to circuit training, interval training, and staircase training for 12 weeks. The duration of the experimental period was limited to 12 weeks, and the training was conducted 3 in a week. The test hypothesis the following parameters were analyzed. Delimitation, dependent variable, physical variable, speed, abdominal, flexibility, psychological variable, cardiovascular endurance, vital capacity, breath holding time, psychological variable, achievement, motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, and skill variable, dribbling, shooting, in shooting, independent variable, 12 week of the circuit training, 12 week of the interval training, 12 weeks of STATISTICAL training. Methodology. The study was formulated as a true random group design consisting of a pre-test and post-test. The subject 80 we are randomly assigned to the 4 equal groups to 20 handball player in each group. In the group was assigned as an experimental group, group 1, group 2, group 3, and control group respectively. Experimental group 1 was assigned as a circuit training group. Experimental group 2 was assigned an interval training group. Experimental group 3 was assigned the STATISTICAL training, and the control group was strictly under the control, not involving any special training. Pre-test were conducted for all the subject on selected physical fitness, physiological and psychological variable. The experimental group participated in the respective circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training for a period of 12 weeks. After the experiment period, the post-test were conducted on the above said depending variable for all the 4 groups. The difference between the initial and final score on each variable as considered the effect of respective treatment. The effect of array package of training on selected variable were tested through ANACOVA. In the all case 0.05 level in fixing the test hypothesis. Precision measure variable and speed 50 meter test and measuring second, abdominal strength, sit up and numbers, flexibility, sit and reach, centimeters, cardiovascular endurance 12 weeks in meters, breath holding time, nose and slip method, stopwatch centimeter, force vital capacity, spirometer meters, achievement motivation and sports achievement motivation cumulation 93 points, self-confident test, Botswana points, anxiety, sign comparative anxiety test points, dribbling, handball dribbling test, and shooting, handball shooting test, in shoot, handball shooting. Statistical technique. The following statistical technique we are using to find out the effect of varied capsule of fitness training such as circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training on selected physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variable among the college level men handball players. Analyze the covariance. ANACOVA statistical technique was used. The test and adjust post-test mean different among the experimental group. If the adjust post-test result was as significantly, the Shepherd post-test was used to determine and the signification of the pair means difference. Result and discuss. The chapter deal with this analysis of the data, discuss on finding the discussion on the hypothesis. The subject for these studies were selected at random, but the group were not equivalent in the related to the factors have been examined, and hence the difference among the means of the 4 groups in pre-test and pre-test had to be taken in account during the analysis of the post-test different among the means. This was achieved by the application of analysis of the covariance where final means were adjusted for difference initial means and adjusted means we are tested for significantly. Then the post-test means were significantly Shepherd post-test was used. Find out pair means significantly different. Test of significance. This is a critical protection of the string in arriving at the conclusion by the examining the hypothesis. The produce the test hypothesis in accordingly with the result obtained in the related to level of the confidence which was fixed at 0.05 level was considered necessary for the studies. These tests are usually called the test significantly determine where difference between the pre-test post-test score of the sample or the significantly or not. In the present studies, if the obtained F ratio was greater than the table F ratio at 0.05 level, the hypothesis was accepted the effect of that exciting significantly different between the means groups. Compare and the obtained F ratio was lesser than the table F ratio at 0.0 level. The hypothesis was rejected to the effect that there existing no significant difference between the means of group compared on these studies. Level of significantly. The probability level below, which we have rejected the hypothesis that terms as the level significancy. The F ratio obtained by the analyzed variance and the analyzed covariance need to significantly at 0.05 level. In addition to the significantly difference between the paired adjust means, were tested by computing the confidence interval value utilizing the Stokes post-hoc test in the obtained means difference value need to greater than Shipyard confidence interval value in significantly. Computation of analysis of the covariance and post-hoc test. The statistical result of the effect varied capsule of fitness, namely circuit training and interval training, STATISTICAL training on selected physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance among the college level men handball players, and order adjust means in difference between the means of the group under studies. CTG, circuit training, ITG, interval training groups, SCTG, STATISTICAL training, C control groups. Computation of the analysis of covariance and speed. Pre-test means 0.53, post-test means 6.30, adjust post-test means 24.31. Table computation of the analysis of the Shepard sports stock test speed, and the figures show bar diagram on pre-test and post-test and adjust post-test means of speed. Computation of the analysis of covariance and abdominal strength. Pre-test 1.33, post-test means 2.91, adjust post-test means 85.49. Computation analysis post-hoc test and abdominal strength. Figure show bar diagram on pre-test, post-test, and adjusted post-test means abdominal strength. Computation of analysis of the covariance and flexibility. Pre-test means 0.42, post-test means 2.19, adjust post-test means 12.06. Computation of the analysis of the post-hoc Shepard post-hoc test in flexibility. Figure show bar diagram on pre-test, post-test, and adjust post-test means and flexibility. Computation of analysis covariance in cardiovascular endurance. Pre-test means 0.97, post-test means 3.10, adjust post-test means 10.80. Computation analysis of a Shepard post-hoc test cardiovascular endurance. Figures show bar diagram on pre-test, post-test, and adjust post-test means in cardiovascular endurance. Computation of the analysis of the covariance and vital capacity. Pre-test means 0.95, post-test means 3.56, adjust post-test means 4.14. Computation of analyzing Shepard post-hoc test vital capacity. A figure show bar diagram on pre-test and post-test and adjust post-test means in weighted capacity. Computation of analysis of the covariance in breath holding time. Pre-test means 0.15. Post-test means 6.29. Adjust post-test means 66.85. Computation of analysis of Shepard post-test of breath holding time. Bar diagram on figure show bar diagram on pre-test, post-test, adjust post-test means in breath holding time. Computation of analysis of covariance achievement motivation. Pre-test means 0.38. Post-test means 2.99 and adjust post-test means 36.98. Computation of analysis Shepard post-test achievement motivation. Figure show bar diagram on pre-test, post-test and adjust post-test means achievement motivation. Computation of analysis and covariance in self-confident. Pre-test means 0.30. Post-test means 8.52. Adjust post-test means 91.24. And computation of analysis and Shepard post-test on self-confident. Figure show bar diagram on pre-test and post-test and adjust post-test self-confident. Table computation of analysis of covariance in anxiety. Pre-test means 0.75. Post-test means 6.65. Adjust post-test means 26.81. Computation of analysis Shepard post-test and anxiety. The figure bar diagram pre-test, post-test and adjusted post-test means anxiety. Computation of analysis of covariance in dribbling. Pre-test means 0.30. Post-test means 8.44. Adjust post-test means 17.89. Computation of analysis and post-test of dribbling. Discuss on hypothesis. The first hypothesis was stated on 12-week varied capsule of fitness training, namely circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training should be significantly improved. The selected physical variable, namely speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and the psychological variable, namely achievement, motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and skill performance variable, dribbling, shooting, and wing shoot shooter among the college level men handball players. The finding of the studies showed that there were significantly effect due to the influence of 12-week circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training on selected depending variables such as the speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, vital capacity, breathing holding time, achievement, motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, dribbling, shooting, wing shoot shooting. Here, then the first hypothesis is accepted on above the variables. The second hypothesis was stated at 12-week circuit training should be significantly improved. The selected physical variable, namely speed, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable, namely vital capacity and breathing holding time, and psychological variable, namely achievement, motivation, and self-confidence, then STATISTICAL and the interval training among the college level men handball players. The findings of the studies showed that there were significantly effect due to the influence of the 12-week circuit training on selected depending variables such as speed, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, vital capacity, breathing, holding time, achievement, motivation, and self-confidence. Then the second hypothesis was accepted on above said variables. The third hypothesis was stated and 12 weeks of STATISTICAL training should be significantly improved. The selected physical variable, namely abdominal strength, and psychological variable, namely anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely dribbling, shooting, and wing shoot shooting, then circuit training, interval training among the college level men handball players. The finding of the study shows that there was significantly affected due to the influence of the 12-week of the STATISTICAL training on selected depending variable such as abdominal strength, anxiety, dribbling, shooting, and wing shooting. Then the third hypothesis was accepted on above said variable. The fourth hypothesis was that 12-week on interval training and STATISTICAL training and significantly improved the selected physical variable, namely speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable, namely vital capacity on breath holding time, and psychological variable, namely achievement motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely dribbling, shooting, and wing shooting, then control group among the college level men handball player. The finding of the studies showed there were significantly effect due to the influence of the 12 weeks of the interval training and STATISTICAL training on selected depending variables such as the speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, vital capacity, breathing, holding time, achievement motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, dribbling, shooting, and wing shooting. Then for fourth hypothesis was accepted on above said variable. Summary and conclusion and recommendation. Circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training significantly improve the selected physical variables such as the speed, abdominal strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable such as the vital capacity, breathing, holding time, and psychological variables such as the achievement motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and still performance variables such as the dribbling, shooting, wing shooting to control group. Circuit training significantly improve the selected physical variables such as the speed, flexibility, cardiovascular endurance, and physiological variable, namely vital capacity, and psychological variable, namely achievement motivation, self-confidence, and anxiety, and skill performance variable, namely shooting among the college level men handball players. Then other trainings. STATISTICAL training significantly improved the selected physical variable, namely abdominal strength, and physiological variable, namely breathing, holding time, and psychological variable, namely self-confidence and anxiety, skill performance variable, namely dribbling and wing shooting compared to other groups. Interval training significantly reduced the selected psychological variable, namely anxiety, and compared to the other groups. Recommendation. The find of the study confirmed that circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training significantly improve the selected physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variable among the college level men handball players. Then professionally in physical education, coaches and trainees in the field of sports can utilize this training program for better performance. Their pair physical education teachers, coaches, and trainers may adopt the circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training method to develop the selected physical, physiological, psychological variable. The result of the study should help the handball coaches and players understand and add the circuit training, interval training, and STATISTICAL training in the training schedule of fitness and skill development. Suggesting for future research, there are great scope for other researchers to carry out a similar studies with the different physical, physiological, psychological, and skill performance variables. Similar studies may be conducted for various games like hockey, basketball, volleyball, kabaddi, and kho-kho. Same training program may be carried out for more than 12 weeks of the training period. Similar studies may be conducted for inter-school and state level handball players. Thank you.
Yeah, my special appreciation to Mr. Sasi Kumar for a very detailed presentation about his research work. As I said, when I go through the research work, it was really interesting, especially the research work for the men handball players. But still, as an examiner, I wanted to clarify certain things with the scholar. Mr. Sasikumar, why are you a handball player, first of all?
Sir, repeat the question.
Are you a handball player?
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
what is your level of representation in handball?
National level.
Fantastic. Very good. Okay. So in a nutshell, simply said, how this research work will benefit handball players? Because I understand, of course, you give a lot of explanation about your research, but as a layman, I wanted to understand how this research work will be very beneficial for handball players. How this is going to contribute.
Basically, I'm qualified handball coach in NIS, but working in University of Madras, Anna University, in the handling for handball players. But I will watch it that some variables is required is not in strength in college level handball players. So I need for to train in my research work is abroad. So I'm waiting for.
So that means what you are saying
most
means
important. The strength is most important in the handball players.
okay.
So I will decide in the 3 training I'm suitable for my research work. That's why.
So your intention is most of the time coaches are not focusing about their players' strength. That is what you are saying, right?
Yes, yes.
So they are only worrying about skills and techniques, but they never worried about the fitness of the players in colleges.
Yes, sir.
So as a certified qualified coach, you wanted to prove that physical fitness also a very important component.
Yes,
we have to give much importance for
yes,
that.
Major strength is major role to every game.
Okay.
I've got national, but in our players is not strength, only for endurance.
Okay. Okay.
Basically, strength is important, the role of the handball.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, then what kind of, when you go through the research work, when you do this research work, what kind of difficulty that you faced as a researcher?
I am basic qualified. I not facing any difficulty, but in every time management, so students nutrition problems with that. So and traveling period, that is COVID-19 period. So you can face to each other.
Okay, good. So what kind of load dynamics you followed for various training programs that you conducted for handball players?
That repeated once more this question.
Can you explain about the load dynamics of the training programs?
Oh, load, intensity, and volume. I give that one minimum period 45 minutes in the training schedule. So that's why I can load is a linear method and step method. I am using only for step method. The first 1 week you give the training in 10%. After second week you go for 15. So this 12 week only for step method is using.
Okay, so you followed the step method because adaptation. Once adaptation take place, then you go for a new load.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right. That is what the concept. Wonderful. Very good. Okay. With this, I appreciate the scholar. Now the floor is open for queries. I'm the examiner. I'm satisfied with the Sasikumar's defense. Now it is open for queries. If anybody wants to interact or want to inquires with the scholar, now it is open for participants, those who are attending this Viva's examination. Sir, Professor Subramaniam, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Sir, if I think participants are not ready to ask any question, so can I go for my further proceedings?
Okay, you can go for proceedings. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you once again. I appreciate Mr. Sasikumar for a very detailed presentation of his research work. I think Mr. Singaravelan is asking this: is this applicable for women handball players too?
The research work in women also is applied for the this training, 3 training is important.
Okay. But only thing is we have to modify a little bit of load dynamics.
But is it women's place or intensity load is reduced.
Okay.
So depend upon the physical level.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Sasi Kumar. So with this, I appreciate the scholar. Really, he defended very well. As I said, when I go through the research work of the scholar, the introductory part very clearly explained about the rationale of the research work, why he wanted to do the research work, because less number of focus on physical fitness variables by physical education directors or coaches, those who are handling college or university level team. So they only focus about talent selection. They never go for talent development. What is talent selection means? Just if they are good in throwing the ball or if they are good in sprinting, immediately they will select and they will put them in the team and they will go for the competition. It leads to injury, poor performance, all those things are the further results. So as a coach, he wanted to identify the things which are very important or dominant for the performance enhancement in the handball, in the field of handball. So in that aspect, chapter 1 was very clear, and the review of literature also, he collected so many reviews which are relevant, which are scientific, through which he identified the gap, and then he continued his research work. The methodology part was also on par with international standard. The techniques or the tools he adapted was very good. And the statistical analysis part also on par with international standard. He used a very good statistical tools to identify is there any difference between the training and its effect. And finally, recommendations stated by the research scholar Sasi Kumar was very good, and it is surely a feather to added research work that is already happened or already proven in the field of physical education and sports, especially in the aspects of handball and its effect performance. So with this, I appreciate Mr. Sasi Kumar for a wonderful research work. And even when I go through the other examiners report also, they all appreciated his research work, and they gave a very good comment about the research work of the scholar. So I appreciate the scholar and also the guide for a wonderful research work. With this, with the permission of this forum, with this August forum, I recommend as an examiner, I recommend the university authorities, Tamil Nadu Physical Education Sports University, Controller of Examination, and also the Syndicate of University to award Doctor of Philosophy to Dr. Sasi Kumar. The title of the research work is Effect of Varied Capsules of Fitness Training on Selected Physical, Physiological, Psychological, and Skill Performance Variables among College Level Men Handball Players. Once again, I appreciate Mr. Sasi Kumar for a wonderful research work. It is a very, very need of our research work, or especially on the aspect of handball and fitness. Thank you very much. I once again thank the university authorities and all learned faculty members of Tamil Nadu Physical Education Sports University. Dr. Sendil Kumar sir was there, and I saw various faculty members. I saw those who attended the Viva's examination to make it very lively and interactive. Thank you very much for all for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manikandan. Sir, now we can go for the vote of thanks.
Yes, sir. Please proceed. Sendil Kumar sir wanted to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
All the best. Nothing.
Thank you.
Nothing. Everything is going right. I congrats the scholar and guide and the examiner. So the examiner conducting his examination very nicely and smoothly, and you clarify all the questions, whatever the doubt I want to raise. All these things you may raise. So I want to convey my congratulations to guide and scholars only. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
Now we can go on to vote of thanks.
Yes, please proceed.
First of all, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Tamil Nadu Physical and Sports University, and the Registrar, Honorable Registrar, Tamil Nadu Physical and Sports University, Honorable Controller of the Exam, Manigandan sir, and physically most of all, thanks to physical department also give the award. I really today happy, and my University of Tamil Nadu and faculty, my every faculty members and staff members in administrative section and control section, exam control section, each one I give the most thank you everyone. Exam. Sir, Ilera sir, most thank you for your thank you present here.
Best wishes, dear. Excellent presentation. Very good. My best wishes all of you, for you.
Thank you to all, everyone. I vote them.
Okay, thank you, manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful examination.
Sir, thanks for those who all attended, all the people. Then okay, Manigandan, Manigandan.
Brother.
Hope I think he's busy with some other activity.
எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா?
நல்லா இருக்கேன். நாளைக்கு வரேன். நாளைக்கு இருப்பில்ல?
இருக்க.
நாளைக்கு வரேன். நாளைக்கு.
ஓகே.
நாளைக்கு வரேன். காலைல வரேன்.
சரி.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thanks to all our NSU faculty members, Dr. Yuvraj, Premananda. Thank you everybody for attending this Viva. Thank you.
Thank you all, sir. Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity. I think Thirumalai Kumar sir also is here.
Thirumalai, vanakkam Thirumalai.
Yes.
Thirumalai.
Congratulations, sir.
Clear alla.
Sir.
Vanakkam Thirumalai, vanakkam.
Sir, congratulations.
Thank you Thirumalai.
Vanakkam, sir.